I was gonna be nice and leave it down here for her and just wait. I
Yeah,
gotta
but that's
tighten it.
weird.
No,
I was.
I'm gonna do this. Lock the doors, call the police, you're going to jail. That's the first time. That's what I heard the first time I took Frida to the vet. Frida, I'd had her for a week. It was a friend of mine from college, my master's program, who was moving back to Bolivia. And I got this 28-pound soaking wet boxer with she was brindle and gorgeous with this really big hematoma on her ear. So I took her to the vet. Locked the doors, called the police, you're going to jail. And I'm filling out the paperwork, and she proceeds to tell me everything that's wrong with my dog. Her teeth had been filed down, all of them except the back ones because they couldn't reach with the file. She had a hematoma because she had ear infections in both ears. And she's telling me all this, and I love dogs. I'm all about dogs. This is my first dog on my own. I loved Frida. I wanted to love her, and I fall into a pile on the floor, and I'm sobbing, and my dog comes over. I've had her for a week, and she's licking my face. And the tech's like, obviously she didn't do this. The dog wouldn't be acting this way. So they do the surgery and the thing, and Frida had a predilection to hematomas because they had chronic ear pain. She had these rough spots on either side of her head that I thought were like red hair. They were blood stains. She would spray blood all over my apartment. It was gross. It was, we got that under control. But before that happened, Frida ate everything inside. She was psychotic. She ripped, I am not even joking, every screen off of every window in my parents' South Florida home. She wasn't welcome to just roam the house after that. She tore all of the molding off of the bathroom door, broke 2 different kennels completely, ripped the metal off of metal, and would vibrate the kennel across the floor. She would be an entirely different part of the house. Frida was psychotic. You couldn't have other dogs. She didn't know how to chew a bone. She was nuts so. But she was my girl. She was my Siegfrieda. The girl would bend in a U, ass and head would meet. It was amazing. And she loved you. And when you rubbed her butt, she did this little chew thing on your arm, and it was like, oh, all is right in the world. Frida loves me. A friend of mine came to visit. It was a band who was performing at some club in Tallahassee. And as he was loading his stuff into my house, because my house became a, hey, I know this band, everyone stay at my place. So Rob was coming in, it was from Black River Circus, and he was coming in the house, and Frida goes out. All right, I'm free. She causes a 3-car accident, got hit by 2 other cars. I had to take her to the vet, and she almost got put down, but she came back a little bit more tame, not even close. It was when my brother's dog, Tigger, moved in and put Frida in her place, and I had to I wanted to be the protective mother, and my brother's like, dude, let this happen. And it happened, and a week later, Frida chewed her first stick. It was a little stick, and it was the most adorable thing. And I was so proud of her. She was still psychotic, but not as psychotic. Tigger was the one that jumped out the window when I made a barking sound. Literally jumped out the window. Scared the crap out of me. But Frida became this amazing dog. I took her through therapy dog training. She got, I could put her in the back of the room and sit. Walk all the way across. And my girl, come. And then she'd come, and she'd listen to all the things, didn't freak out in an elevator, didn't freak out with people with crutches or wheelchairs or whatever. She was amazing. Although this was this really funny thing, when she would eat, we would have her sit on the linoleum, and she would spread until she was this far off the ground. Okay, eat, and then she'd fall and then go to eat. But she was this amazing dog. She was so well trained afterwards, and she still had this capacity to love. What an amazing lesson, right? So I got this job with the Apalachicola Forest Youth Camp. I became the director of rehabilitative services. We had music therapy, art therapy, animal-assisted therapy, life-centered career education. My roommate had 3 dogs, 2 were therapy trained, and then I had Frida. So we got to bring all the dogs, but one who was an old man and just stayed and slept, but to work every day. It was amazing. And Frida, I got to tell this story about my horribly abused dog who had no teeth and like the most rotten farts that would come out of her. But I, and she would clear therapy rooms like, oh, Frida farted, let's go, we gotta go. But I got to teach these kids who were there for, they were declared incompetent to stand trial in the state of Florida. And a lot of them had abusive histories. And here's my dog who ripped apart everything and had her teeth filed down and these surgeries. And she would, again, predilection, it would happen every so often. She became this amazing lesson that the kids could like hear the story and kind of be like, I wonder, that it wasn't direct, but it was subtle. And then this one day, and it was after the dog days of summer, my roommate had taken 2 of the dogs to work and left the puppy, Shelby, a Staffordshire Terrier. Oh my God, I love Shelby. But anyway, left Shelby and Frida, the oldest 2, behind. And like, I threw them outside. We lived by the lake, and I was like, I gotta clean the house, get out. So usually they're like chomping at the bit and like watching the doors and like doing the thing. But no, they were like sleeping in a pile of leaves, chasing each other in the back, like down the deck and back up. And at one point, I remember like looking out the door as I was passing it to like clean something, and I see Shelby and Frida like walking down my driveway, and I stopped and I was like, oh, that is so sweet, amazing. So I go back and I do the thing. Kitty comes home with the other 2 dogs, and they're playing ball. And let me tell you, ball is a riot because everyone has their position. Dixie is where mom is, ball, 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 ball. She's like a greyhound lab mix, and she's black, and she's a jet, and she wants to go after the ball. Kitty would throw 2. There would be Dixie. Frida was defense, attacking Dixie with the toothless wonder that she is, so that Dixie was sopping wet at the end of the ball playing situation. Jessie was the old man who was midfield, and Shelby was where Jessie was because she knew that's where the ball was going to end up. She was the smart one. The baby was the smart one. And while this is happening, Kitty comes running in. She's like, Frida's down. She's still down. I run out, and my girl's gums are blue. And I pick her up, and I'm sobbing, and I bring her into the house, and she shudders, and she's gone. And Kitty's calling her brother, and he's coming over from, I don't know where he lives at this point, and he came and he dug a hole, and he brought a tree, a bush, to plant over Frida. The next day, Shelby took Frida's spot. And I swear to God, Shelby learned all of Frida's things because that next week she was up my butt, like on my bed and doing the things and in my office and all the things. And while I was home from work crying my eyes out, all of these kids that I worked with were writing notes about my dog. And we're writing kind notes and, well, Miss Frida's farts, don't lie, you won't miss it. The following day, I took a picture of Frida and me. And Frida's doing her nose thing on my cheek. And we pass it around in each group. And there's 8 kids in each group. And while we pass the picture around, we're telling stories. And they're like, Miss Mariana, don't cry. And I realized that at this moment, I have that responsibility that I get to teach these kids who probably don't have much experience with proper goodbyes and trauma in a positive sense. I'm like, no, this is my girl. Of course I'm gonna cry. And it was this amazing moment where my horribly abused, toothless wonder dog taught us all a lesson or two about how to love and live.